Welcome back, League fanboys and fangirls, to another episode of Running Down Mid. As always, I am Exile, and on my right is my right-hand man, Funzy. Let's just go ahead and talk about the big thing that we need to talk about. Summer Split's getting ready to ramp up and start again, and oh wait, no, that's right. MSI still going on, huh?
Yeah.
Not for North America, though. EU still going, so PU made it into MSI main tournament, and we did not, and that is a huge kick in the biscuits.
Yeah, and what it means for North America is we no longer have a first seed when it comes to the actual group stages of Worlds in October.
That also means that we only get 2 tickets to Worlds and not 3 like we had last year.
And that's going to hurt us in North America more than anything because that just dampens our chances worse that we can perform there. Not that, I have high hopes after this weekend.
So we totally deserve the spot that we're getting, and we really only have our own selves to blame on that one. A lot of people are super negative on TSM. I hate coming into this video and actually defending them because I am also extremely disappointed in TSM. But we said it in the week following's video that they actually performed exactly how I thought they would. If you guys think back to the spring split, TSM only went 8-8 in their first games. If we were going back to the way that we used to run the splits and not do our best of 3 series, TSM would have been a middle of the pack team. Number 1 team out there would have been C9. They only dropped 3 of their first matches, won all the rest of them. So it's it's pretty rough. It is pretty rough. If you think about that, TSM literally dropped half of their first matches against everybody except SKT, but you don't really count SKT. You count those as losses anyways.
Yeah, and coming into the last day, we did have a favorable opportunity because everybody except for Team We and SKT were still in a tie.
Yep.
Like every team was a tie. And Team We had locked in the spot, and TSM didn't manage to take a game off of them. Yeah. So, hopes were pretty high. We won the first game against Flash Wolves. Awesome. It went long, which works out in our favor because that's when I think TSM shines the most. Just couldn't close out that G2 game.
That was terrible.
I mean, it was terrible. It was pretty even throughout most of the game. And it was one of those things that
if you look
TSM
back
made the first mistake.
That's true, but if you look back at the first time they played against G2, they had to base race to win. They actually almost gave that one up when they had like a 10K plus gold lead. So really embarrassing against our what I would think that our bittersweet rivals are in the EU community. Man, the Royal Crown just had us bad, and it's just rough. But it really just came down to TSM's playstyle and the fact that they are not a one-and-done team. Had they made it actually into the tournament where they played a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, that's where they shine. The first games in and be done, they don't. Like I said, if our old standings would have stood and the old way that we used to do our splits, and we did just 1 games and done on Saturday and Sunday, TSM would have been a middle-of-the-pack team.
And I wonder if the change to longer play with best of 3s is what's affected them the most.
So I am glad that you said that because that is my exact thought. I think right now we changed to a best of 3 series to make us better prepared for Worlds. That makes us better prepared when we're not in group stages and round robins. So if we get to the actual main tournament, hey, man, North America has a chance of shining. But getting out of the round robins, getting out of the group stages...
Getting out of groups has proved very difficult for us.
Proved extremely difficult. But with that being said, you can't really go back to the old way because if we would have went back to the one-and-done games, TSM would have been a middle-of-the-pack team. And TSM, by far, is no middle-of-the-pack team.
Yeah, middle-of-the-pack team until they hit playoffs and then beat everybody and get to the finals. And then
I don't know if it was one and done. We had to do a little round robin to get in that tournament. TSM's never going to make it out of groups.
I don't know about that.
It's just rough. It's just rough. They're not. And what happened to them is, 1, it's their play style, and 2, it's their inability to evolve. In these world tournaments, in these bigger stages, you have to be able to evolve your play styles in your group and what you do.
And it did seem like every time picks and bans came in team comps, they were always playing reactive. It was always letting the other team set the momentum and then trying to outdance them. And it just wasn't working. And it showed in the rematch, in the tiebreaker with Flash Wolves, when it just seemed like Picks and Bans focused it on the bottom, which is not their strong lane, and gave them the momentum in the game.
Yeah, but they did a few things that I felt was highly questionable. Getting boxed out by Talia the same way you box out somebody else, like you do that and that's going to work. If you're not going to do that and play that character, you need to ban that one because you know it's going to work against you. They could not beat a Gragas 1. Whatever team they played against that picked up a Gragas, TSM fell to a Gragas. So guess what? You ban a Gragas or you pick the Gragas. They couldn't beat a Galio 1. If you can't beat a Talia, you can't beat a Galio, you can't beat a Gragas, I know that there are higher tier bans. You gotta ban the LeBlancs or whatever.
No, but that's a good. Those are good bans because they also
should've banned
set
them
up
out.
the momentum for Hanser to play a carry. And Hanser on a carry, I'm sorry, that man is good on a carry.
He's decent.
That guy can carry a game.
Hanser can. He's decent on a carry, but it's just he underperformed. And I want to say that
I don't think it was Hanser that underperformed.
I think
TSM's, the jungle was soft. Spin didn't
it's
play.
It was their early game. All those early questionable invades that were for nothing, and they would lose or die or give up summoner spells for what, a ward? One ward that, gonna give you 20 seconds worth of knowledge. I'm maybe it's because I'm Wood Division, but TSM's early game was questionable, and if they shored up their early game, they're like, all right, we're gonna play a good early game, and they have a good early game, they give it up mid, or they
never had a early to mid game.
They never had a complete game. There wasn't one game that they played where they were great from start to finish. If they did awesome in the beginning, they're given horrible Dragon and Baron calls.
It had to be because they were always playing to somebody else's tune.
I also think that the meta shift had something to do with it. That patch, a lot of things had changed for the tanks. The Shen was nerfed. I was surprised that they were playing a Shen into a Gragas or a Shen into a Galio.
They had a great game with Shen, though. You have to admit that team comp they built around Shen was good.
It was okay, but with the nerfs in place, the other teams were able to show you how lacking
the
was.
Shen with the Ahri on Bjergsen was obviously why in that second game of Flash Wolves, Ahri was the first ban.
Yeah,
they knew to take that away because that combination team comp beat them thoroughly.
I don't know, man. I question a lot of their picks and ban moves. Like they did not evolve. The reason why CLG performed so well at MSI before last year's MSI is because CLG went in with a team strat that other teams were copying, so they were evolving to the way that CLG played, and then throughout the tournament, CLG was able to evolve yet again, and TSM wasn't able to do that this time around. Everybody was changing to Galio playing nonstop, where we never saw him play before. Everybody's playing Gragas, where the only time we've seen him, in North America this last bit was on like a support. Not being able to react better or plan for that is
it just seemed really like Svenskeren didn't have a deep champion pool. They knew to ban the Ivern. They knew to take away those champs that he's comfortable on. And once you do that, like you take away Lee, you take away Ivern, and what's he got?
But even when he got to play his Ivern and stuff like that, they underperformed. They legit underperformed. They did not have one game where they laid the beat down on anybody. There were games where they were winning tremendously and then almost lost, have to base race, embarrassing, or games where they're getting crushed and then have to mount a tremendous comeback. And it's just like, man, boys, we need a game where you start, whistle blows, whistle ends, that you are 100% legit and can't be stopped. I wonder
if the improvement we're seeing in G2 is them picking up Golden Green from TSM and his philosophy on how games should be played. Is that what we're seeing, the evolution from G2? I didn't expect G2 to be as strong, and you saw at the beginning of their split that they weren't. It took them time to gain that expertise in their team comp.
I don't know if it was. I honestly I honestly don't want to say that it was any one thing or another that you can really pin it on, except for just I really want to say that they got in because they beat TSM. If TSM didn't give up those games the way they gave up those games, it'd be a different story. If TSM played like they played during the entire spring split, if they played like they had been playing, I really feel like they, it would have been a different story. But I mean, I don't want to call him out, but dude, Wild Turtle, like everybody on the world stage is bashing you.
I know he made tons of mistakes and
got called out, and his champion
plays.
pool is really, really small. Heck, they even wanted to bolster his self-esteem and played one game where it was Wild Turtle's going to carry us. We're going to do a protect the Cogmaw team comp, and I cried inside when I watched that game because as soon as I saw the protect the Cog Turtle going to carry us team comp, I knew TSM was going to lose that game, and they lost that game. He is not the cornerstone of their team. You gotta have a protect the Bjerg team comp or a funnel the Hanser team comp or something where you focus the top side of the map, because that bottom side of the map is TSM's weakest link.
At least I hear that Double Lift's coming back.
Thank God. But damage is done because now we don't have a number one seed in Worlds. We only get 2 people that go into Worlds, assuming that TSM doesn't win Summer Split. If TSM wins Summer Split, we might actually only have 1 team go to Worlds.
I think it's still going to be 2.
It's going to be really embarrassing, and we just, man, I don't know what it is that we need to do as a region, but as far as North America goes, we have to perform a lot better.
I honestly think that seeing some of the teams that improved over Spring Split, like P1, that it's just a matter of time, especially with the current imports. As long as we can hold on to those imports and grow with those imports in North America, I think that we'll become stronger. And that kind of changes into the next subject of CLG making a change on the roster.
Oh, man, I didn't even want to talk about them yet. But before we talk about CLG, let's go into your Korean imports, because Korean imports are great, but the more time they spend in America, the less Korean they are and more American they become. I really think what's going to benefit any team out there, because I mean the ultimate goal is winning Worlds, and basically the ultimate goal means beating Faker, and not very many people have done that. Unless you're Royal Never Give Up, you're not consistently beating the Faker. So what needs to be done is they have to change their tournament structures. Tencent is the company that bought Riot Gaming or owns the vast majority shares. They have to change up this. Make IEMs and MSIs and Worlds have like 4 world tournaments a year, so that there's less focus on the splits and more focus on the tournaments. That gives us a chance
to. It feels like, though, if teams
are
going to boot camps in Korea anyways, they should be picking up stuff while they're there, right?
Because
they're scrimming these teams,
They
right?
should be. But,
I mean, you can't scrim a team internationally all year round.
But you got to look at it at another way.
And we've already got fatigue with our players.
Other countries are really, really bad. Faker went to Brazil and has a 95 win percentage. 95 win percentage in Brazil. He went to a different.
Well, I mean, that's just let's point out how many Brazilian teams are playing.
But that's what I'm saying. If we had more world involvement where these guys got to play against, instead of scrub teams playing scrub teams or cruddy NA teams playing against cruddy NA teams,
it's just a matter of time. You got to grow your region.
They really need to.
I'm just saying, Korea has a foundation dating all the way back to StarCraft.
They do.
And so that just gives them the leg up. And that leg up means that they know what it takes to be a pro player. Whereas other regions don't have that environment. They don't have that setup.
NA needs to move all their teams to Korea and then just fly home
the
for the
reverse
tournaments.
Imports?
Yeah, because, I mean, it's really bad. If we don't get more tournaments on a world stage, you see these guys twice a year, and sometimes you don't see the same teams. I mean, this is the first time anybody's played against Team Wii. And so, I mean, it's just, I really feel like to get these teams to be better at Worlds, to get our team better at Worlds, we need to start taking these IEMs more serious. And not just North America, but everybody. Because, I mean, Oakland's IEM, everybody passed on it, The Katowice, every passed on it. Like,
well, everybody from our side. You still had some teams from the other side.
There were some, but I mean, it was mainly like Europe. Everybody in Europe went to them.
It's prize pools. There's just no money in that stuff.
That's why somebody needs to take it under the wing,
and maybe franchising will change that. Maybe we'll see a whole
because
different setup next.
If you look at
year.
soccer, if you say that esports most closely represents soccer, where it's bigger world renowned than it is in America, that's soccer. They have the world tournaments, the mid-season tournaments, like the World Cup and everything, just like soccer. But soccer has more international tournaments, so these teams play their international counterparts more than just once every 4 years at World Cup. If it was once every 4 years at World Cup, you're gonna have you could have a SKT-like team dominating all the time. So we need to have more world tournaments where everybody is fully vested in playing these. If not, you're never gonna have an NA winner.
2 a year is gonna be good. It's just a matter of bringing over the culture of the Korean player and facilitating that, like we're seeing. I mean, if you were to look back at 2015 season, you would see a dramatic change in the way player houses are run from 2015 to 2016.
That's true.
And every year that it's like that, we inch that bar closer.
And they're doing that with getting rid of relegation and franchising out teams. That's all. But it's just it's slow moving baby steps. And I don't want to wait until 2030. Running down Mid's 1000th episode before we get a winner at an MSI or possibly a winner at Worlds. I mean, that's too long to wait, man. I don't want to wait 20, 30 years. I want us to do something meow. Yeah. Especially with us getting embarrassed, because it was embarrassing. It was. And it's heartbreaking. But moving on to focusing on just our region now, because we don't have anything to look forward to MSI-wise, though we will still continue to bring you your MSI news. Big winner from that is probably SKT against Team Wii. That's just Team Wii came out of the group where they beat Royal Never Give Up, and everybody thought it was going to be Royal Never Give Up versus SKT. So that's probably going to be your final. So moving on to North America stuff, we got CLG and
parting ways with their jungler that they've had for how many seasons now, and bringing in Dardoch, which is he reformed? What happened on his team?
God, they had another Breaking Point video, and they had a Immortals Breaking Point video where Dardoch is calling his teammates stuff that we can't say on our channel because our content would get banned or we wouldn't get our advertisement, but he's calling them, just names that normally would get you punched in the face in the street, and these are supposed to be his teammates. And Dardoch was POG champion, player of the game. This last split, he was POG champion. He beat out Impact by like 2 player of the game, player of the week votes. So I mean, Dardoch's good. He had the most kills as a jungler. He also had the most deaths as a jungler. And I honestly don't think that he's matured yet, because you had Breaking Point with Team Liquid, and he was acting the exact same immature way, being rough with his teammates. And then you go to somebody that's like Immortals, who has a really good foundation, and their owner is trying to progress that culture and build like a sports complex for all of the Immortals teams, and is really doing some really innovative stuff.
But he's young.
He's doing the same
He's
stuff.
also only been in it for a year, and let's just be honest, you need somebody who can sit on top of Dardoch.
So they're hoping that Afromoon is going to be that guy.
He cannot look at Afromoon and be like, "No, dude, you don't try as hard as I do."
I don't know,
man. I'm sorry, man. That guy puts in the hours.
They got rid of Double Lift because
of the same stuff.
Because of the same stuff. Him and Afromoon didn't get along. If you think CLG, the first person that comes to mind is Afromoon. If you bring in Dardoch and Afromoon can't get along with him,
obviously they've already made their choice. I mean, this is happening.
I
saw the goodbye video for Xmith,
and it broke my heart. It broke my heart, man, because he has been there since like season 2. Like, broke my heart. But I understand. Sometimes a player needs a new change of scenery. They
get comfortable. They get a little complacent. Yeah, they need a place to grow. They need a different training.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice if they had like an up and comer that he had to fight for his spot for. But no. So they let him go, and Immortals was quick to trade. They're like, dude, we want this guy out. Anytime some team is pushing a guy out the door and setting him on fire, like, come on, man.
And it's not like this isn't well documented. TL,
it's not a surprise.
Yeah,
like,
TL put it out there,
knows.
and it's only been a split. It's not like it's been a season again.
And I felt bad. I felt bad for Dardoch when the Breaking Point came out because I was like, got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they put him in a bad light, but Immortals was really quick to put out another video where they're like, "This is our." They called it their recap spring split video, but it was all Dardoch saying bad, horrible. It wasn't like, "Hey, we won this match," or "Remember this time we did really, really good." It was all like Dardoch behind the scenes going, "You guys are terrible. You guys are lazy. My team are playing like a bunch of blankety blanks," and it's like, wow, man. And I couldn't believe that Immortals put that out there, like within, like, hey, we're announcing on Twitter that he's gone. Oh, by the way, 30 minutes later, we have this video on YouTube explaining why we're kicking him out, and it just felt so bad. And I can understand somebody like Poe Belter not wanting to take that kind of abuse. Like, dude, Poe Belter's good.
He's been in the LCS for so many years.
And I think if I think Poe Belter, I think Afro moves around the same lines. And I just, when you think about CLG's culture and the fact that they did not do any roster changes, I was really surprised to see that was the roster
and so
change
quick.
they made.
Yeah.
It was just I'm really.
I don't know. I'm gonna chalk this up to a bad move.
I honestly think it's a bad move.
I'm not even gonna say
Dardoch.
Let's see
really
how
good.
it works out. No, I'm just gonna say.
So he had the benefit of a doubt, and he doesn't have the benefit of a doubt for me anymore. No. Dardoch is good, but he is also reckless, wild, and immature.
Yeah,
obviously.
and just I don't think he's ready to play on a team where he isn't the center of focus. He doesn't know how to let somebody else take control.
He's not a facilitator. He got tilted a few games last season and ended up throwing them because he was tilted. There were a few games where he curbed that and he was able to come back from tilt, but he just has not had that maturity progression. I don't know if in the CLG home they have a sports psychiatrist that can maybe help him with that, but man, right now he has a really reckless play style and reckless team synergy.
And they do have that there. So, I mean, we're going to definitely see a different CLG take, the rift
when I do my summer preview of seeing where CLG is, tell you what, they're not going to be my number one.
Yeah, they didn't have a good spring, and I don't think this is going to be a positive change for them. But, I mean, we'll see.
Weirder things have happened.
Yeah, it all happens on the rift.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for this week. We have one more week of MSI, and that's going to be next weekend. We're going to cover that, talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to kind of get into what to expect with Summer Split and all the mid-season changes and how they're going to affect the pro play.
And we might have some format changes coming up here pretty soon, so stick around for that. It won't be the same old, same old. Maybe we might throw a new graphic in or two. Who knows?
Well, good game.
Good game.